Hi, and welcome to my very first YouTube video. I have been thinking about doing this video channel for quite some time. It's basically showing you that the world is almost the exact opposite of what you think it is. And this theory that I've come up with basically explains what's going on in the world in many different aspects. Anyways, I'm going to start with the very first one, which is a hot topic right now, and it's about Robinhood and what's been happening on Wall Street. Robinhood is a classic example of what I talk about where it's the exact opposite. They are marketing, or were marketing themselves as for the little guy, rallying against Wall Street, and let's take down the Wall Street firms. I mean, it's being exposed more and more every day that Robinhood was a farce and lying all along, because you, the millennial who bought their BS that you were getting free brokerage and you were joining this group of people going against Wall Street, in reality, Robinhood is as deep a Wall Street player as you can imagine. It's basically controlled by Citadel and Wall Street firms. And, you know, the first time I heard about Robinhood, it's free trading. Well, how can that be? I've been in business over 40 years. I've been self-employed basically my whole adult life. And it has allowed me to see the real dark side of humanity, the corruption, the lying. And in my estimation, 95%, if not even higher, of all firms, individuals lie when it comes to money. Now, you may think that's an exaggeration. No, in that 95%, I include people that misrepresent themselves. So you might not think it's a bad lie. I'm actually in the jewelry business, and I am one of the few manufacturers in Western Canada where we do absolutely everything in-house. I have goldsmiths, I have diamond setters, everything we do is in-house. And yet, I have competition who I actually make the rings for them, and they proudly announce to everybody that they own a workshop. They're designers, they're goldsmiths. Now, you might think this is an innocent little lie, but it's still a lie. And it's to gain the confidence of people and get them to give you money. And that is exactly what Robinhood did. They came up with the story, including the name Robinhood, to appeal to the millennials that really hate the establishment of Wall Street. But it's actually just a thin veneer, because when you place your order with Robinhood, they were doing order flows to Citadel. So Citadel was actually getting all those orders. And in many cases, they were front running. And they had information with the orders coming in, what was happening. And they were the ones executing the trades, not Robinhood. And in reality, you are not the customers of Robinhood. You are the product that they package and sell to Citadel, if you want to term it, one of the so-called evil Wall Street firms. So Robinhood's just a thin veneer to con you into believing that you're dealing with a Wall Street outsider. Now, even Vladimir, the face for Robinhood, do people realize that when he started out, he was building high-frequency trading platforms for some of the largest Wall Street firms? Yet recently, he did a Twitter pleading ignorance, like, what is high-frequency trading, and is it evil? Oh my God. You were a guy who actually was right in there creating high-frequency trading. He is a deep Wall Street insider pretending that he's looking after the little guys, but he's the face to con you. And, you know, Wall Street is so rigged. They have bought Washington, and in Canada, Toronto and Ottawa. And basically, you're playing in a rigged casino. Now, here's an interesting statistic. I don't know exactly what it is in the United States, but in Canada, if you go back to the 1950s and the 1960s, the financial industry, now that includes stock brokerages, banks, mortgage brokers, anybody that handles money, made up approximately 8% of GDP. Today, as we sit here, it's approximately 20%. So $1 in $5 is controlled by financial institutions. Now, ironically, the industry that has benefited the most from technology is the financial and the banking industry. They don't have as many branches. Everything's computerized. There's ATMs. Computers do your trades for you. When I was a young man, you'd go into a bank branch. There was no computers. Every bank branch basically had a bookkeeper, and you had a little booklet where it was all written in, and there were cards recorded into the bank. So you can imagine the paperwork and the time spent. And with all that manpower spent and all the branches that were there, you couldn't do interact. You couldn't, transfer money electronically. It did not exist. That was about 8% of the economy. Now it's over 20%. What does that tell you? I mean, basically, the financial industry has been allowed to have greater and greater margins, more and more fees, when technology has made their businesses more profitable and more efficient. And the analogy I draw is that the financial industry, banks, stock brokerages, is like Las Vegas. It's a casino. At least the casinos have the integrity. If you walk up to the roulette wheel, you can see, green zero and double green zero, and you can see what the odds are and what the house advantage is. And I mean, years ago, the banking industry, stock brokerages, Goldman Sachs had, a set fee that they got, and they skimmed off the top, and that's what I call it, skim. It's like the mafia. They skim everything. They take their cut off of everything. And now it's like going into Vegas today, and instead of having zero green and double zero green, now there's literally 10 of those green numbers, and the house advantage has gone up astronomically. That's what you have with Wall Street. Now, you have to also understand, too, the terrible interconnection between Wall Street and Washington. Once again, don't quote me, but I read an interesting article that the vast majority of senior officials in the Treasury Department are ex-Goldman Sachs employees. Now, if you take a look at the people you might know, Alan Greenspan, he first started his monkey business and his financial shenanigans under Ronald Reagan. People don't realize that. Ex-Goldman Sachs. Hank Paulson, under Bush. Ex-Goldman Sachs. Munchkin, I think that's how you pronounce his name, under Trump. Ex-Goldman Sachs. So basically, you have the departments in Washington that control Wall Street are all ex-Goldman Sachs. I mean, that's a massive conflict of interest. And why is this allowed? You can't have this conflict of interest. You have to have impartial people that don't come from Wall Street, so they don't want to protect their buddies and their future, because a lot of these people, after they do their terms in Washington, go back to Wall Street. So, you have the fox in charge of the hen house. So this leads me to the next thing. Robinhood or no Robinhood, the stock market and Wall Street is rigged. The house has too large an advantage, and it's virtually impossible to beat them in the long run. The one thing that you people can effectively do, and the one product that Wall Street despises and will try and talk you out of, is precious metals. And why is that? Well, they can't make money on it. They can't short it. The physical. Now, they have done their monkey business in that they issue paper certificates saying that you own gold or silver. And if you go in, they'll try and talk you out of buying the physical because, well, you have a risk. Where are you going to store it? What if somebody steals it from you? So just let us hold the metal in our high security vaults. And here's this little certificate of paper saying you own the gold or the silver. It is widely recognized that it's one of the most manipulated markets in the world because if gold starts to go up, they can just issue more of these certificates. And there's a disconnect between the certificate price and the physical price. And sometimes they mesh, other times the physical is higher. And being a jeweler, I do buy gold and silver on a regular basis. And I see this. I mean, there are times when it's almost impossible for me to get the metal. Everybody's sold out. Yet the price is going down. How can that be? Well, because the governments and the major banks want to suppress the price of gold, so they issue more of these certificates. I know with gold, nobody's 100% sure, but it's widely acknowledged that for every ounce of physical gold in the world, there's 50 to 100 ounces sold on paper. They say silver is even worse. So if you want to bring the major banks on Wall Street to their knees, okay, they don't have control of the physical market. Now, they can manipulate the paper market, but not the physical. So if everybody buys up the physical gold and silver, which is actually happening, I mean, there was that call to the millennials to buy silver and squeeze the market. And they're getting close. And if you keep buying, then the paper market will collapse because now these banks that have sold these certificates of paper have an obligation to pay you. So let's say silver goes, I think it's right now around $27 an ounce. Let's say it goes to 50 once all the physical metal is locked up, and then the price goes dramatically higher. Well, if somebody has bought $100,000 worth of silver certificates at, let's say, $25 an ounce, and it goes to 50, they go into their local branch of JP Morgan or wherever they got the certificates, they say, yeah, now I want to get my money because now it's $200,000. Well, they have this massive obligation. They never bought the money. So they've lost $100,000. So if you really, and unlike Robinhood and Citadel and the Wall Street firms, there's no way to manipulate the physical market. It's a finite market. But that's why I emphasize the physical. You cannot do it with paper gold or paper silver. Secure the physical metal. That's how you take down the financial institutions. Put your money there. Anyways, I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you for watching this first one. I welcome comments, and I'm a different kind of man. Positive comments are great. I want to know the negative comments. I want to know another viewpoint because I realize that I can't know all angles. I don't know everything about every topic. So if you can bring up something that is contradictory to my viewpoint, now, grant you, it's got to be a good factual argument or comment. I love to see that. There's been a number of times in my life where people have changed my mind simply because I was unaware of certain facts. And I would like this channel to be a forum for different ideas on the topics I'm talking about. And if you stay tuned, there's going to be some real radical things. Like, I'll give you a little hint. What do you think is the most destructive institution in modern day society? And I'll tell you what it is, and a lot of people will get extremely angry, but it's going to be my next video. And I'll explain it in detail. The most destructive institution in modern day society are universities. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next video.